So this one. So like I said, with the respiration, we saw that you need oxygen for it to take place, and in the process of respiration, carbon dioxide is produced. Now the carbon dioxide, which is a byproduct, okay, which is a waste product in respiration, and the oxygen, it must, for carbon dioxide, for instance, it must be gotten rid out of the body. It does not stay inside our bodies. Okay? And the oxygen, for respiration to take place efficiently, for you to produce enough energy, then you must get oxygen. So now, how are these gases? You know, we are large organisms. For instance, now, okay, for instance, you, who you are listening, who you are, that is watching to me, that is watching right now, you are a large organism. How is your body going to receive the oxygen from atmosphere where you have excess of it? And how is the body going to get rid of carbon dioxide that is produced in the process of respiration? Okay? So by studying, by trying to answer the how question, okay? The how question, then you'll be studying gaseous exchange in all living organisms. All living organisms. Right from simple unicellular organisms, okay, to aggregate cells, I mean sponges in quotes, to sponges, and then to hydra, cnidarians, and then to flatworms, and then from flatworms you go to insects, arachnids, and so on, arachnids, and then you go to aquatic organisms, fish, then you go to amphibians, up to when you reach mammals. So by studying how these organisms do obtain oxygen from the surrounding, and how these organisms get rid of carbon dioxide that is produced in their bodies, then you are studying gaseous exchange. And different organisms have different needs. Okay? Yes, universally we all need the oxygen. Universally we all produce the carbon dioxide. But now, the way of obtaining this oxygen is the one that varies. And the need for this oxygen also varies. In that the oxygen needed by amphibians cannot be the same oxygen needed by birds, and not the same oxygen needed by reptiles and mammals. Think about that. Okay? Think about that. So by studying all this, then we shall be talking about gaseous exchange. So welcome to gaseous exchange. Feel free, feel at home. We shall also discuss it. We shall also demystify it the same way we have discussed respiration, coordination, and stuffs like that. Okay? So feel at home. So now, gaseous exchange, before even gaseous exchange. So I put for you the reading references. And all these books, apart from now, which one? Maybe apart from this. But all these books have been posted in our classroom. Okay? And these are the books that I used to prepare these teaching slides. So you can go, you can use The New Understanding Biology by Susan Poole, It is on page 395. So you can copy this page so that whenever you open those textbooks, you just jump to those pages. Then the Cambridge A-Level Biology 4th edition is on page 185. Now, I don't know if I posted this, but I'll check. Then Biological Science 5th edition, you have it in the classroom. It is on page 903. And then Campbell 10th edition, page 9, FA. It's then advanced by Simpkins on this page. So you can take a screenshot to always refer to this page whenever you open a given book. It will be of great importance. So let's see what gaseous exchange is. So if they ask you that, hey Dennis, hey Jordan, hey Mark, hey Prosper, what is gaseous exchange? What will you answer? Will you just sit and watch? Will you be like, you have never heard of that? No, you should at least say something. So right from the definition, gaseous exchange. So there is some exchange. Okay? Yes. So it is the uptake of molecular oxygen from the environment, mark this word, from the external, let me also add that, from the external environment, and the discharge of carbon dioxide to the external environment. So in my P3P something, my primary, I used to think that when I inhale, these are my nasal pipes, that if I inhale in oxygen, that's gaseous exchange, and then I exhale carbon dioxide, that is gaseous exchange. But seriously speaking, that's not gaseous exchange. When the carbon dioxide is just in your nasal pipes, it is still in the outside environment. Yes, strange but true. It is still outside your body. When the carbon dioxide is, when oxygen goes deep in the trachea, still outside your body. Continues deep in the bronchi, still outside your body. Bronchioles, still outside your body. Then alveoli air sacs, in the air sacs, still outside your body. Okay? It is still in the external environment. But now at that surface, where the oxygen is going to be exchanged with carbon dioxide, that gas respiratory surface. Okay? Now once oxygen makes it to the capillaries, to blood, then here we shall say that it is inside your body. It is now in the internal environment. So that point where the oxygen is exchanged with carbon dioxide, then that's when we shall say that gaseous exchange has taken place. Okay? Gas exchange has taken place. Similarly with food. When you put food in your mouth, it is still in outside the environment. You swallow it in the stomach, the whole of the gut, the whole of the digestive tract. Food is still outside your body. Till when you poop it out, poop the undigested food. But those ones that are soluble, they are the ones that get absorbed into the bloodstream. So they are the ones which make it to the internal environment. So I hope that concept is really okay. So yes, all of us need oxygen, like I said, for tissue respiration. and all of us must get rid of the carbon dioxide. Okay, like I said. Now, in single-celled organisms, you can name them all protists, yes, and then all monerans, all bacteria. Single-celled organisms. Now, these organisms, they are unique in a way that they don't require those complex apparatus. They don't require that, the complex apparatus of taking in and out of oxygen and carbon dioxide, respective. That oxygen just diffuses inside from the external environment to their internal environment, okay, and then carbon dioxide just diffuses out from the body, okay, to the external environment. Think about why. Think about why. Okay, and you can drop your answers in the chat box. But just think about why oxygen simply diffuses out of their bodies. Oxygen diffuses inside their bodies, and carbon dioxide just simply diffuses outside their bodies. But now, in multicellular organisms such as you, now this simple diffusion cannot occur. Then there you need a complex gas exchange apparatus. Complex gas exchange apparatus. Okay? For you to be able to obtain these respiratory gases, so that you are now able to survive. But for the other simple organisms, for them they don't need those complex gas exchange apparatus. So why? Also think about it. Okay? Think about that evolutionary trend in gas exchange apparatus among the living organisms. Think about it. Okay? Think about it. Why? 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 So if you are able to answer the whys, then you'll be good to go. Okay? Yes. So now, before we go far, there are some quite important terms that should really be part of us. Okay? And these terms, we shall use them frequently. Okay? Yes, some of them are familiar, others might not be. Others might appear new. So these terms must at least be part of you. And they're not hard. The first one is a respiratory surface. A respiratory surface. Okay? Respiratory surface. So right from its name, a surface is the area, respiratory, where respiration occurs from. Is it respiration or gas exchange, whatever? So a respiratory surface, it is that specific area where exchange of gases occurs from. Like I told you, oxygen in your alveoli, oxygen cannot easily diffuse. This is you. So it cannot just diffuse from the outside environment, okay, through your cells, through your body. No, it can't. You are a large organism. We are going to see. Okay? You are a large organism. So oxygen cannot just diffuse inside your body. So therefore, there must be a modified, a specific gas exchange surface where gaseous exchange, where exchange of these respiratory gases is going to occur from. Okay? That area tries to reduce the surface area to be equivalent to that of unicellular organism. Okay? That, yes, you are large enough, I know you are a large organism, but you form some specific area, some modified areas that tries to reduce the surface area to be equivalent to that of unicellular organisms, so that now exchange of gases freely takes place. Okay? To allow the organism to carry out its physiology. So we have examples, we have gills, okay? We have tracheoles. Where do we find gills? And with gills we have both internal gills. We have organisms with internal gills and others with external gills. But all these are body extensions, okay, that are modified to provide that gas exchange surface over which gaseous exchange is going to occur from. Then you have tracheoles. Tracheoles, for instance, this is a system of very many tubes, okay, that are found in the insect's body. Now there are these very many tubes, okay, that do allow gas exchange to take place. Otherwise, without these tubes, man, then I don't know if an insect can survive. Then you have alveoli, for instance. Alveoli. When I was young, this word used to give me headache, man. Both pronouncing it and writing it. Alveoli. So I used to simply say air sacs. So you have your air sacs. This is a system of sacs. Very many. Okay? In your body. That increase the surface area. In fact, if you are to detect the surface area of an entire organism, an entire human, for instance, if it is equivalent to the whole tennis court, you can imagine the whole tennis court. Okay, if you are to gather the surface area of these sacs in your body, the surface area is equivalent to the whole tennis court. Okay, now imagine a tennis court. If you put it in Namboni, what will be the area? So how much oxygen therefore enters Namboni on its full capacity? You can imagine how much oxygen and how much carbon dioxide. But anyway, so these alveoli, yes, there are many. There are some specific surfaces where gas exchange is going to occur from. Okay? You may have skin. You may have organisms that can use skin. Okay? So the skin is also a respiratory surface because that's where gas exchange occurs from. For example, think about earthworms. Okay? Earthworms. So how do they carry out gas exchange? We are going to see. Have no worries. Think about frogs. Think about frogs. How do they carry out gas exchange? We are going to see. Okay? We are going to see. Okay? That's why we are here. But just have a glimpse. Think about it. Okay? Think about it. We have organisms that just, for them, they use a cell membrane. The cell membrane is their respiratory surface. Such as, which organisms? Yes, the simple unicellular organisms. These unicellular organisms. Even the sponges, I think. Sponges. So how do they obtain their gases? Across the cell membrane. Why? Why? But anyway, all in all these respiratory surfaces, they do aim at reducing the surface area. Reducing the surface over which exchange of gases is going to occur from. Okay? Such that gases are easily exchanged than how it would happen if it was an entire organism. Because now think, with increasing evolution, okay, the complexity of these organisms increases. As you go above the evolutionary tree, also the complexity increases. And if the complexity increases, the need for oxygen and then carbon dioxide to get to be expelled out also increases. But the organisms keep on increasing in complexity. So therefore, you must find ways of solving such a problem. Okay? Yes, you are increasing in size. For you are just eating, and increasing in size. Are you working on that? Are you working on this? Okay? Yes, so that is basically the evolutionary trend in gas exchange apparatus. So by the end of this topic, we shall all be able to see how different animals and plants too do carry out their gaseous exchange, and the different gas exchange apparatus that they possess, and how these exchange apparatus are really adapted to perform their function. Now for these respiratory surfaces, yes, it would be common knowledge that they do have a large surface area, like I've told you. If you are to calculate the entire surface area of the alveoli in your lungs, it is equivalent to the area of the tennis court. You can imagine. I said equivalent, not equal, to the area of the tennis court. You can imagine how large it is. But now how is your total area? Are you equivalent to the tennis court? Are you? How many U's do we need to lie them in a tennis court to fill it? Think about that. How many U do we need? Obviously, very many. But now all that area is within you. Think about that. Why? To increase the rate of diffusion. Remember, you are a large organism. You must be able to efficiently exchange these gases, supply your body with enough oxygen, and get rid of carbon dioxide that is produced within your body. But still, you cannot forego being large. Being large is needed. Being multicellular is needed. You can read about advantages of being multicellular classification. You can go and check. Being multicellular organism is needed, but still it comes along with challenges. It has challenges that are associated with. So one of ways of solving those challenges is having those specific gas exchange surfaces over which gaseous exchange is going to take place from. Then they are moist, yes, to dissolve these respiratory gases. Okay? Why? Because diffusion, the rate of diffusion increases in solution form. So for these gases to easily cross the respiratory surfaces, to make it into and outside the internal environment, then the respiratory surface must be moist to dissolve the gases so that you can increase the rate of diffusion. Then they are thin. Yes, these respiratory surfaces, they are thin. Why thin? To reduce the distance over which these gases are going to diffuse. Imagine a gas diffusing through this and another gas diffusing through this. Okay? All this, it's a wall. And this is a wall also. And the two walls are made up of similar elements. Why do you expect a faster rate of diffusion? Obviously, here. So these gas exchange surfaces, they are really thin. Okay? To increase the diffusion, to reduce the diffusion distance, increasing the rate of diffusion. Yes, well ventilated. Yeah. The inlets and outlets are clear, are proper. For example, think about you yourself. Let's think about you. You have these air sacs, these alveoli are well supplied with very many bronchioles. Very many. And these bronchioles are supplied by many bronchi. And the two bronchi, they all, should I say, pour into the trachea, and the trachea now to the nose. So there is well aeration. There is easy flow of air. Okay? Unless otherwise, maybe you have maybe corona, but still corona, it affects the it affects the alveoli. And when you affect the alveoli, they should I say they deflate, and when they deflate, then the rate at which exchange occurs reduces. But otherwise, in a normal person, they are well aerated, and so air easily flows to the extent that even you are unaware that you are breathing in and out. Unless when you are asthmatic. And so, but if you are normally they are well aerated. Okay? Air that is moving out, it is taken out easily. Air that is entering, it enters easily. So that at any time t, there is that high concentration gradient. Okay? Which is going to maintain the flow of air, the gas exchange, so that at any time your body is saturated with air. Permeable, yes. All these gas exchange surfaces, they are highly permeable. In fact, fully permeable to respiratory gases. Okay? Yes, fully permeable to respiratory gases. So air just moves in and out with ease. Well vascularized, you're surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. It's a dense network. Okay? If I'm to sketch that, if that's your air sac, if that's your alveolus, the alveolus is going to be surrounded with or by a dense network of blood capillaries. Okay? Very many. The whole of it. Maybe even this side, the whole of it, okay, the whole of it surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. And all these capillaries, they will all come from one large vein, sorry, large artery, okay, which is the pulmonary artery, and they will all collect in one large vein, okay, and which large vein? The pulmonary vein, okay. Yes, but they are well supplied. They have that dense network of capillaries. Why? So that you increase the surface area, okay. If the oxygen is at this point, it can diffuse into. If the oxygen is at this point, it can diffuse into. If the oxygen is at this point, it can diffuse into. So you increase the surface area over which diffusion is going to occur from, hence increasing the rate of diffusion. Similarly with carbon dioxide, it can diffuse into at any point. But just imagine if you just had one, that's your alveolus, and you have just one capillary that runs. Now the rate of diffusion really, it would be low, okay. That the gases would need to first reach here, okay, and then diffuse into. So this is not efficient. Nothing happens. Actually, in nature, I always say this, there is nothing happens just for just, okay. Everything happens for a reason, and the reason is to make the organism possessing that feature to easily adapt and survive in its environment, okay. So her being vascularized cannot be taken for granted. Maintain that concentration gradient so that you carry oxygen at a faster rate. Yes, is that okay? Any question for me as far as adaptations and the respiratory surface are concerned? So let's talk about the respiratory medium. Now a respiratory medium, oh sorry for that, it is simply a source of oxygen. Simply a source of oxygen. Where is the organism obtaining its oxygen from? Think about it. Where are you obtaining your oxygen from? Where do other mammals obtain their oxygen from? Where do birds obtain their oxygen from? Where do fish obtain their oxygen from? Where do amoeba? Oh, does amoeba, I don't know what is the plural form of amoeba. You can find out. Where does it obtain its oxygen from? In other words, the source of oxygen is the respiratory medium of a given organism. And by the way, your source of oxygen determines how complex your respiratory surface is. Think about it. Why is it that when you dive in a swimming pool, do you remain breathing? Do you? Obviously no. Why is it that when you pull a fish out of water and you put it on land, does it remain breathing? Does it stay? It dies. Why does it die? Because it has failed. Now, you cannot extract oxygen in both air and water, unless if you are an amphibian. Amphi means both. Amphi, both. Those that do extract oxygen from air, they adapted differently. They have their own gas exchange surfaces that are too unique, too different from those that extract air in water. Why? Because the challenges that are faced in air are quite different from the challenges that are faced in water. For instance, if the gills, the fish, when the fish is in water, the gills have that support. So water supports the gills. But now when you remove the fish from water, the gills remain with that support. What happens? They do collapse. They collapse. And if the gills collapse, then exchange stops. Similarly, when we put you in water, now for you, because you've adapted to respire to obtain gases in air, your gas exchange surfaces have adapted, have evolved ways of self-supporting them. For example, your alveoli have what we call surfactants. We shall see them, we shall talk about them. They are the ones which prevent the alveoli from collapsing, even at different atmospheric pressures. But now when we put you in water, do you stay? Do you remain? So you adapted differently. So the respiratory media, we have water and air. Now the challenges faced in air are different from challenges faced in water. Let's compare. In water, the cells keep moist. Okay? But in air, the cells get dry. For example, think about these organisms that use a skin, okay, to obtain their gases from air. The fish, the amphibians, the frogs, they use a skin, okay, the frogs, and then the earthworms, for instance, they use a skin. Now you must keep the skin moist. The skin must be kept moist to dissolve the gases, okay, so that gas exchange occurs. But now here you are a terrestrial organism where water is a challenge. Imagine on a hot sunny day. How is it going to cope up with that? Okay? So that one becomes a challenge. In water, the concentration of oxygen is less compared to the concentration of oxygen in air. And it is not easy to extract the oxygen from water. So that's why when you dive in water and water enters your alveoli, your lungs, you cannot extract the oxygen from the water. You suffocate and you die. Say that he has drowned, and we start jutating. Jutating, I've ever used that word with you. I get it from guttation or jutation. So you start jutating. Okay? We start passing out tears. The concentration varies, okay, in water, and water is heavier than if you compare the density of water and the density of air. They totally have different densities. Okay? And so because of the different densities, then it determines different needs. Okay? And so different gas exchange apparatus among the organisms that do obtain their oxygen in water and organisms that do obtain their oxygen in air. So in air, you have a high concentration of oxygen, so the rate of diffusion is always high. Okay? So that's why organisms in air, they are highly active. Think about birds. Think about birds. Actually, may I consider birds to be the most developed organisms. Because for them, they can fly. Can you fly? You want to say you can make an aeroplane and fly? If an aeroplane jumps, do you stay floating in air? But anyway, so you don't need that high ventilation apparatus, okay? Because the flow of air is easy as compared to the flow of water. Okay? Water is going to easily flow, even through tiny crevices. That's why you enter your house and shut all the doors, shut all windows, shut everything, and you remain alive. But you get your air from, you get your oxygen from water, and you shut all windows, shut all doors, and see how much water is going to enter. Okay? Then water is lost by evaporation. Now this is a challenge that must be solved, that must be attended to. Because remember, these are terrestrial organisms. Terrestrial means organisms that live on land. So these are terrestrial organisms. Where water is a challenge, you must find ways of getting water. But still, you are losing water as you are trying to get rid of carbon dioxide. So it's a challenge. Now this, it has been worked upon. If you study the different respiratory apparatus in different organisms, you find ways of solving this. Okay? Yes, but among you, you also lose water. That's why when you are right now, actually that's why you put on masks. Okay? That's why you put on masks. I don't want to go deep because Museveni helped us so much to explain that. So therefore, because of that, lungs, organisms that use lungs, okay, they are interior, they are internal, okay, yes, to prevent on the rate at which water is going to be lost. So basically that's how simple it is, okay. Yeah, so basically that's a respiratory medium, okay. So that is respiratory medium. So let's see ventilation as another common term that we use. Now ventilation, this one is just simple. Okay? This one is just simple. It means taking in and out of respiratory gases. Transfer of oxygen from atmosphere to the alveolus, and then transfer of carbon dioxide outside. That is ventilation. Okay? And ventilation, it can be inhalation or inspiration. Inhalation. Now with inhalation, this one means taking in of air, and it can also be exhalation. And with exhalation means taking out of air. And they follow different mechanisms. Inhalation and exhalation do follow different mechanisms among organisms. For example, think about this, mammals. The way mammals take in and out of gases is quite different from how, for instance, amphibians do take in gases, okay? How fish takes in and out, and how other organisms, how insects, how birds, they do follow different mechanisms, okay? And by the end of this topic, we shall see how different animals, different organisms do take in the respiratory gases and do take out the respiratory gases. Okay? We shall try to hmm, describe the process of ventilation, that is inhalation and exhalation of respiratory gases in mammals, in amphibians, in fish, in birds, and in insects. Okay? We shall, we shall, inshallah. Okay? I hope I've tried. Do you have any Muslim here? Yeah, I hope I've tried. So that is ventilation for you. Then another important term is saturation. After taking in the air, after gas exchange across the respiratory surface, then the gas doesn't stay there, waiting. No, it doesn't stay there. Okay? The gas is saturated from the lungs, from the gas exchange apparatus, gills, skin, buccal cavity, depending on the gas exchange surface, to the entire body, okay? To the tissues that actually do need the gases. And also, after receiving the gases, then you do respire, and after respiration, then you produce carbon dioxide, and then the carbon dioxide is absorbed into blood, okay? Is absorbed and then transported into the gas exchange apparatus and taken out of the body. So just a reminder of transport. I know you studied it. For saturation, therefore you must have a saturatory fluid. Okay? A saturatory fluid. And all organisms actually do have this saturatory fluid. All of them do have. Okay? Right from earthworms up to you. And you assume you are the most complex organism. You all have the saturatory fluid. You all have a pumping organ. So there must be a pumping organ, okay? That is going to pump, oh my God, sorry for that. That is going to pump this saturatory fluid throughout the entire body, okay? So that pumping organ must be there to generate a force. And in this case, it is a heart. So people here who keep people's sons and daughters in their hearts, I don't know how you do it. Then there must be a system of tubes. Okay? A system of tubes over which the saturatory fluid tubes over which this saturatory fluid is going to flow through. Because now you cannot just like you with a closed saturatory system, you cannot just push the blood and then the blood just flows through the tissues and then comes back. Okay? There must be that system of tubes over which the gas exchange, over which the saturatory fluid is going to saturate. And remember, this saturatory fluid, it will be the one that will dissolve our gases for saturation. Is that good? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay? That's brilliant. And then finally, then there must be respiration. Okay? And really, this is what we just covered. Okay? All this, it rotates around respiration, because we have seen that for you to respire, you need the oxygen. So you can't just take in oxygen when it's not needed now. Okay? You need the oxygen. And you need to take out the carbon dioxide, which is produced as a result of cellular respiration. And this is what we just covered. So from our previous discussion, yes, we have been talking about the gas exchange surfaces. Let's actually talk about them in details and see what are they. Okay? What are these gas exchange surfaces? And all, like I've told you, that's an area where exchange of gases is going to occur from. And from all the gas exchange surfaces, I was amazed with this. Okay? This is a spider, and you know that spiders, their gas exchange surfaces are called the book rungs. They are rungs, but arranged in form of a book. Eh? You know books have sheets, eh? You open sheets. So if you are to observe, this one is also arranged in form of sheets. So that's why it is called a book run. But we have other different exchange surfaces, as we are going to see. So, like I told you, this is an area over which gas exchange is going to occur from. And number one, we have a cell membrane. Okay? Like I told you, for these unicellular organisms, this is an organism, okay? And this is the surrounding environment. And all of this environment is water, okay? And then this is the internal environment. Now, the internal environment is just separated from external environment by a unit membrane, by a plasma membrane. So in just even a blink of an eye, that's too much. In just seconds, like this, the gases are inside, and in just another second, another blink, another microsecond, the gases are out. Okay? So therefore, this membrane becomes a respiratory surface or a gas exchange surface. Then we have other gas exchange surfaces. So the entire body of an organism, okay, that is the skin, e.g. in earthworm. Now for the skin, in earthworms or amphibians, frogs, okay, gases can just dissolve, okay. You know their skin, they are moist and they are well vascularized. So gases just dissolve, and then after dissolving, then they diffuse across the skin. And when they diffuse across the skin, they join the blood vessels, the blood capillaries, and they are transported throughout the entire body. So this is really good. Think about yourself. Why? Why can't you use your skin? Why? Why? Why can't cows use their skin? Goats, fish, can they use their skin? Why? Think about why. Okay? Birds. Why can't birds? And so, Which adaptation? Which adaptations are possessed by the skin of these organisms to carry out gas exchange? Okay? So if you can think through that, then you'll be good to go. Okay? Yes. If you can think through that, you'll be good to go. So that is one. Gas across the flattened body, e.g. Platyhelminthes. You know, there is this question that briefly explain why some organisms do not require a gas exchange apparatus, a complex gas exchange apparatus, or a transport system. So now these Platyhelminthes, these flatworms, they do have a flattened body, and this is an entire body. This is even too much. This one, and this is the upper, and then this is the lower. They do not have a serum. They are aceromers. So what does that mean? The diffusion distance over which these gases are going to cross is minimal, is limited. And so, as a result, there will be a high rate of diffusion. Okay? Which is enough to supply the entire body with oxygen. And then you get rid of carbon dioxide. That's pretty good. Then another exchange surface, we have the book lungs, which in spider. That's where we are. It's a lung, but it is modified into sheets called lamellae. Okay? Now, the air current just flows, as you can see, and these lamellae, they are highly vascularized. Okay? Now, as air current is flowing through, the blood is going to be flowing out. So they flow in a countercurrent mechanism in an opposite direction. So as air is flowing, so this is blood. So as blood is flowing through the book lungs, then the air flows in an opposite direction, so that there is that exchange. Are we together? There is that exchange, whereby the carbon dioxide diffuses out and the oxygen diffuses into blood. And boom, the organism survives in that way. The organism has the oxygen it needs, and the organism gets rid of the carbon dioxide that it doesn't need. So those are the book lungs. Then we have external gills, such as tadpoles and lungworms. Now external gills, these are just extensions. Okay? They are you can call them integuments. They are extensions of the body. Maybe if I can sketch, if this is the entire body, just a sketch, but after here you can check on Google and have the pics. So if this is the entire body, you will have some extensions, okay, on the entire body, and these extensions, they are gills. Okay, so now because of these extensions, the organism obviously will be in water. So as water is flowing through these body extensions, through these gills, and these gills will be highly vascularized, then there will be gas exchange. Okay, there will be gas exchange, and air is drawn, oxygen is drawn into the blood capillaries, and carbon dioxide is drawn outside, the water that is flowing through these external gills. And then the oxygen is taken throughout the entire body. So it is as simple as that. And by the think about why all these? Why all these? Do they show any evolutionary relationship? Do they show any evolutionary trend? And why? Okay. Then you have tracheoles in insects. Now this is just a system of tubes that connect to the spiracle, that connect to the trachea, and the trachea connects to the atrium, and the atrium connects to the spiracle. We shall see how insects do carry out gas exchange. Now these tracheoles, it is a system of tubes that are highly permeable to these respiratory gases, where oxygen can easily diffuse out into the tissues and carbon dioxide can easily diffuse in. Now you guys have lost connection. I'm using Wi-Fi and the power has gone. I don't know if you have seen that. Yeah, so we're on gas exchange surfaces and we were on tracheoles, where we say that tracheoles is just a system of tubes that are highly permeable to respiratory gases. Okay? Yes. And we shall see how gas exchange occurs within insects. Then we have internal gills, for example in fish, okay, and they also do extract oxygen from air. And we shall see how the gills do really extract the oxygen in air and the type of exchange mechanisms, the parallel flow and the countercurrent flow. You can read ahead and we really appreciate it. Then finally, this is where you belong, the inner alveoli. Okay, this is just a system of sacs found in mammals, mostly mammals, and yeah, mostly mammals. Okay, where gas exchange is going to take place from. Okay, yeah. So types of respiratory surfaces, we can talk about this, as you can see, and we have almost talked about. So all those respiratory surfaces, they can be categorized into these categories, whereby we can categorize them into integuments. Now integuments, these are the body extensions. For example, your ears, they are your integuments. Your arms, the legs. Okay, the arms and the legs, those are appendages. But the ears, for instance, they are integuments. Okay, they are the body extensions or extensions of the body. So when you are to observe this, for instance, you can see that this is the whole body. Okay, this one is a whole body, but the whole body makes extensions called external gills. Extensions. Okay, now those extensions, they are the ones that we refer to as integuments. So the gas exchange surfaces can be categorized as extension integuments, or if not integuments, then they can be categorized as where is it? Evaginations. Now evagination, or you can say evagination, means like protruding outside. Okay, so if this is, for instance, a membrane, okay, Then during maybe phagocytosis, the membrane evaginates. Okay? During exocytosis, for instance, the membrane evaginates. Okay? And then it pinches off to release a vesicle. So evagination, or evagination, depending on your kindergarten, it is that body extension. So also, the respiratory surfaces, such as gills, the gills, for instance, they are body extensions, okay? They are specialized epidermal outgrowth that do carry out gas exchange. Because if you are to see, where do we have our internal gills? We have them here, for instance. Yes?
You had frozen.
Oh, sorry. So am I okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. You can see my screen?
Yeah, but past pardon.
It's okay, I understand. So like I said, the categories, we can categorize our respiratory surfaces in two different categories. Okay? And these categories include, number one, they can be integuments. Okay? And with integuments, these are body extremities. Okay? For example, your ears, they are your integuments, body extremities. Okay? So when you look at the external gills, for instance, if this is the body of the organism, the external gills, they are like extensions of the body. Okay? They are extensions of the body. So therefore, being extensions mean, yes, they have special properties, special adaptations, okay, for gaseous exchange, but they are extensions of the body. So that's where gas exchange is going to occur from, okay, and then gases enter the blood capillaries and then saturate throughout the body and then passed out. Then alternatively, we can classify them as evaginations or evagination, depending on your kindergarten. Okay? Now, evagination means an outgrowth. Okay? An outgrowth. For instance, if this is a membrane during excitosis, the membrane is going to evaginate. Okay? Is going to evaginate. Now, this outgrowth, this one, is what we call evagination. So also, the internal gills, for instance, they can be body outgrowth or outgrowth of the body with special features to carry out gas exchange. Is it okay? Yes. Then, away from that, if they are not evaginations, then they are invaginations. Okay? E.g., the alveoli. Now, for these ones, they are in growth. Okay? They are in growth, not outgrowth. For instance, if with invagination, if this is a membrane, during endocytosis, it will invaginate, okay, and then pinches off to form a vessel. So this ingrowth is what we call invagination. So also these air sacs, they are also ingrowth, okay? They are the body structures or the body surfaces, they ingrowth, or they ingrow, they invaginate to form what we call air sacs. And then there are these air sacs that will carry out gas exchange. Okay? Yes. So I think we should stop here. Okay? Unless otherwise.